Today I'm going to show you a few of the Photoshop and GIMP tools that you can use to edit your art history photos. So here's my original photo. I took it selfie style, actually in the field behind the Lumen building, so might look familiar to some of you. A few things you can do is you guys have used Photoshop or GIMP for a long time now, so you probably have a good idea of what you can use, but a few helpful tools that will definitely be helpful to most of you are the crop tool, which in Photoshop is this icon right here. The dodge and burn tool. If you right click on that, then you can see the dodge and burn. So remember, these will lighten or darken an area. The clone stamp tool is really helpful to use. Remember, this will copy different areas, so I'll probably use the clone stamp tool to get rid of the buildings. But you can, to use that in Photoshop, if you're using a Windows computer, you will hold down the Alt button to select an area to clone. If you're using a Mac, you will hold down the Option button. Okay, so there's the clone stamp. Some of you may find the paintbrush tool to be helpful. This is the paintbrush tool. You can paint different things. Obviously, you want to do stuff intentionally to look more like your artwork, but you can select different colors by clicking on this top box right here, and then you can select different things. So that's the paintbrush tool. You may find that color changes, making changes to the color could be helpful. So to do that, you'll go to Image and Adjustments. All of these areas will change up the color. And then you may want to make some exposure changes too. And so in that same area, all of these will change your exposure, making it brighter or darker. It may be helpful for you to utilize your layers, making copies of things. For example, if I wanted to edit out the background only, then I could copy my photo into another layer, and I could give it a name, and then I could basically just focus on this area. Another way to help you kind of focus on editing specific parts is by using the selection tool. We have a lot of different tools to work with. We have the quick selection and the magic wand. We can basically select areas just by making shapes, such as like this. Or the lasso tool is really helpful. So in GIMP, you've got your crop tool right here. You've got your dodge and burn tool right here, which if you scroll down, you can change it from dodge to burn. And in this tool options window, you can also increase the size or decrease it. Using clone stamp, which is this tool right here, to use it in GIMP, to select an area, you will hit Control to select an area to be copied. The paintbrush tool is right here, and you can change colors by clicking on this top box, just like in Photoshop. And then color changes and exposure changes can be found in the color tab. All of these will change the color and exposure. To create a new layer or a copy of a layer, this will create a new layer and a copy, so you can do that as well. And then you've got lots of different selection tools up in this area. So those are just a few different options. You may know a few as well that you're planning on using. Just remember that you use Save As when you're saving, so that way you don't overwrite the original photo. You may need to go back to this original if you make some mistakes. So when you save things, you'll want to go to File and Save As. And this is the same in Photoshop and GIMP. Okay? Remember, we're trying to make an artwork that is similar to our chosen artwork made by our artist. And so you guys are going to want to apply some quality editing. Okay? If you edit your photos and it ends up looking a lot worse than your original, then you may want to go back and maybe slow down and try to do more quality editing. So that's what we're looking for. So here's my process that I'm going to use to edit my photo. Remember just to try your best. You may want to look up just similar tutorials for things you could do to edit. a lot of the tutorials we went through a few weeks ago, you could even kind of incorporate some of that stuff. So you could watch this and kind of get some ideas, or you can just start working on your own, but here's what I'm going to do to edit mine. When you're sure you're about finished with your edited photo, make sure you save as, so that you can save your edited photo as a different file from your original, and then also make sure to flatten your photo and save your photo either as a PNG or a JPEG. So I'm cropping my picture now, doing it more of a portrait orientation. And then I deleted an extra layer, and now I'm increasing the brightness. And I actually decided to open up my original photo so that I could compare it to my edited one. That way I can see it while I'm editing. So you can just kind of make your screen smaller to kind of split that screen. So now I'm selecting the background. I've made a new layer and I'm selecting the background. That way I can have a picture of just the person in it. And now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to select out. I'm going to select the area of the person so that, and delete it, so that I just have a layer with just the background and then a separate layer with just the person on it. So now I'm going to filter and I'm going to liquify, and from here I'm going to use that to kind of make some stylized areas in the background. And I kind of messed up, so I went back and I decided to delete the buildings that you guys see back there using the clone stamp. So I'm just selecting areas from the sky and covering those buildings. So now I'm going to go back to that filter tab and I'm going back to liquify. And I'm kind of just making the sky a little bit swirly. This isn't just like the self-portrait, but it's kind of like the Starry Night, so I'm just incorporating that a little bit. So I've gone back to a few other of the filter areas, just in the filter tab, and they have a lot of different options that you can choose from to kind of stylize your pictures. And this is a really easy way for you to kind of create a similar style in your photos that your artist created in their paintings or other artwork. And so this is a way that you can kind of mimic their style. So there's all these different options you can choose from, and this is just a really great place for you to experiment and apply different filters. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying a few things out and seeing what I like. You can always go back and compare it to other layers, and you can always change the settings around too. They have these artistic layers that look a certain way, but you can kind of tweak them in the settings to make them look different or make them look a little bit better. And once again, that's in the filter tab. So I'm just kind of going back now. I'm kind of fixing up some of those swirls because I didn't quite like how they ended up looking with that portrait up against it. So at this point I'm pretty satisfied with how the picture turned out. I think it looks like a fun mixture of like Starry Night and a self-portrait. So to flatten it, you just go to Layer and Flatten Image. Now my image is flattened, and now I'm going to Save As so I can save my picture properly.